Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about the upcoming Cannabis Awareness Days with some of the principles, so stay tuned for that. It's coming up on Monday, the 10th of July. We also have a great, short, but sweet hemp news segment for you tonight with some important points. And as we always do, we will bring out our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
Our first story tonight is from Edmonton, Canada. Canadian women frequently report consuming cannabis products to ease symptoms related to menopause, according to survey data published in the Journal of the British Medical Journal Open. Investigators affiliated with the University of Alberta surveyed cannabis use trends in a cohort of 1,500 women aged 35 or older. Among those respondents who reported being current cannabis users, many indicated that they consume marijuana products to improve menopause-related symptoms such as joint achiness and sleep disturbances. Most women said they had not discussed their use with their healthcare providers. The authors of the study concluded, quote, "Our survey established that women are using cannabis for symptoms during the menopause transition. Information about cannabis was more frequently accessed through online searches and personal contact with limited involvement of healthcare providers. In general, many women in our survey reported cannabis was helpful for their symptoms. Further research is required on menopause symptoms and foster the development of clinical resources for women to use in making informed decisions around cannabis for medical purposes," end quote. Prior surveys from the United States estimate that nearly 30% of middle-aged women who use cannabis do so to mitigate menopause-related symptoms. This study, Cannabis Use for Menopause in Women aged 35 and older, Usage Patterns and Perceptions in Alberta, Canada, appears in the British Medical Journal Open, or BMJ Open. And in fact, in the 1850s, the mid-19th century, Queen Victoria used cannabis for menopause and other related symptoms. Our next story is from Indianapolis, Indiana. A regulatory body of the National Collegiate Athletic Association, or the NCAA, reports removing cannabis from the list of prohibited substances. Last week, representatives from the NCAA Committee of Competitive Safeguards and Medical Aspects of Sports signaled its support for removing cannabis from the association's banned drug list and testing protocols. In a press release, the agency explained the rationale for considering the change includes the consensus opinion that cannabis is not performance enhancing and a harm reduction approach to cannabis is best. In recent years, both the NBA and the Major League Baseball Association have dropped marijuana from their league's banned substances list. Both the NFL and the NHL continue to drug test some players for cannabis use, but they no longer impose suspensions for those who test positive for it. A final decision on this matter is expected to come from the NCAA this fall. The full text of the press release is available online from the NCAA. Out of Carson City, Nevada. Nevada's Republican Governor Joe Lombardo signed legislation into law increasing the total amount of cannabis adults may legally purchase and possess. Provisions in the new law allow adults to legally obtain up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis flower, up from a single ounce, and or up to a 1/4 ounce of concentrates, up from 1/8 of an ounce, from licensed retailers. Other provisions in the law permit licensed retailers to dually serve adults and patients, and also allow for those with prior convictions to apply to work in the licensed cannabis industry. The new possession limits take effect on January 1st, 2024. Nevada voters approved a statewide ballot initiative in 2016 legalizing the adult use of cannabis and the market. Voters initially decided in favor of an initiative legalizing the production and distribution of medical cannabis 23 years ago in the year 2000. Our next story tonight is from New Hampshire. New Hampshire. State-registered medical cannabis patients who reside outside of New Hampshire can now legally purchase marijuana products in New Hampshire from state licensed dispensaries. The state's Department of Health and Human Services director announced on Wednesday that the state's 2021 reciprocity law is now in effect. Under the law, visiting patients may obtain cannabis products from any of the state's 7 licensed dispensaries if they present a valid out-of-state registry card. Out-of-state patients are permitted to purchase cannabis at least 3 times per year. New Hampshire's medical marijuana law imposes a 2-ounce limit on cannabis flower purchases. About 20,000 New Hampshire residents are registered to access medical cannabis. Our last story tonight is from Tallahassee, Florida. Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis has signed legislation into law permitting physicians to issue medical cannabis authorizations to eligible patients via telehealth appointments. State law stipulates that doctors must perform an in-person physical exam of the patient prior to issuing their initial authorization. Under the new law, physicians may issue certification renewals following a telehealth evaluation. Florida patients must renew their authorization cards annually. In March 2020, Florida's Surgeon General issued an emergency order allowing for doctors to engage in medical cannabis consultations via telehealth. That order expired later the same year. An estimated 815,000 patients are registered with the Florida Department of Health to access medical cannabis products. Other provisions in the new law seek to lower barriers of entry into the medical cannabis industry for African American farmers. That is the end of our hemp news segment tonight. Now we're going to have our interview talking about this coming Monday's Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. If you are a loved one, someone you know needs to find a doctor to help with medical marijuana, we have a referral service and can refer you to highly qualified doctors. So call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. Without further ado, here is our interview. Keep working to restore hemp. Good night. I'd like to welcome back to our show Mr. Jim Miller and Lefty Grimes in New Jersey. And we also have Honeybee Thomas and I here in Oregon. And we are going to talk today about the upcoming Cannabis Patient Awareness Day, this coming Monday, July 10th. I did a show with you a month or so ago, Jim, and Honeybee and Lefty, you were on talking about this a couple of months ago, but I figured, well, since this is before the event, this would be a good time to put the show out there, and maybe we'll get a few more people to show up. So, Lefty, you started this, right?
Yeah, well, we started this last year with Oregon talking to New Jersey, coast to coast, and we're growing each year. This year we got 24 states, possibly 25.
Yeah.
Amazing. We got half the states that are taking part, and we're taking the state back for patients. It's becoming a corporate holiday, a stoner holiday, and we want to make it a patient awareness day. And because it's 710, it is oil upside down. We want to talk about what patients need in each state. And every state that we talk to has a different problem, and it's pretty amazing what we've uncovered so far. And what we think we should do is create a patient bill of rights where every state can contribute to this bill of rights that what patients need the most in each state. I know in New Jersey we need home grow, we need insurance coverage. In other states it's a little different. In Honeybee State, and your state, Paul, you probably need more plant counts because you guys literally sleep in fields of pot out there. So I mean, we wish you had your problems out there in Oregon and Jersey.
Right. We also want to be able to smoke anywhere you can smoke direct.
That's something Jersey has that nobody else has except for New York. We can smoke wherever you smoke tobacco, and that's been a game changer for us here in Jersey.
That is
it really has.
That would be great. We are not allowed that. If we're here where we're at in Oregon, if you go across the river, you can't grow any plants at all unless you do have medical, and then you can grow between 4 and if you register with the state, up to 15 per patient. So, Honeybee, you've got the permits for Salem, for our state capital. How has your interactions been with the state capital in getting that permit?
That was super easy. So last year was our first one, and I going through the proper channels, but apparently I was at the state park across the street and not on the state capitol or the grounds, but a park ranger helped us last year, gave us his card, and then said, next year I'll help you. And so this year it was super easy. I contacted him and he connected me with the right people. It ended up being very simple. It ended up being a free event, and we are ready to go. We have 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock at night. Not that we're going to be there that long. We have it available for everyone to come and be with us there. Hopefully, we're going to see some important people that can make a difference.
Honeybee, you were breaking up there. Your image is frozen up, but we're just going to try to go with it. Jim, you are a longtime activist. It was a pleasure to have you on for the first time a month or so ago. Your wife was one of the first medical marijuana patients to come out with multiple sclerosis. She passed away some years ago. When did she pass away? Cheryl Miller?
2003, 20 years ago. Been that long.
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for her, she spent from 92, give or take, through 1999 being the only visible illegal medical marijuana patient in New Jersey. If you heard about a patient, it was her. Had a lot of lonely years. She was a gatekeeper. She's willing to do this, knowing it wouldn't happen in her lifetime, and was willing to be the gatekeeper, to go out and be the show and show and tell. So yeah, she opened doors. Just her very presence opened doors. She was glad to do it. She knew that as she got weaker, her power became stronger. It was inversely proportionate to her health. So on bad days, she'd think, well, if I was just out today, I could really kick ass. Well, my terminology, but so yeah, I'm real happy to see this happening now, and that it was always said you can't prove it works. It doesn't work. There's no studies that have ever been done. You say, well, studies aren't allowed to be done. And it was just a statement until we did our own study at the State House with her in her hospital bed, and I gave her tincture, and her tightness went away, and the press recorded it. And then we said, yeah, don't tell us studies haven't been done. It wasn't a good study. It wasn't a double-blind, placebo-controlled, clinical crossover, gold standard study, but it's the best one ever done if nobody else has done a study. You want something better, you do your own studies. Hell of a message for a person that could only move her head, don't you think?
And she went into the United States Capitol and got arrested there, right, on purpose.
Oh yeah, she had no choice. They knew we were coming. What all the Capitol Police knew is we were going to commit an act of civil disobedience in a Capitol office building, and they couldn't keep us from coming in, but they could make sure that I lifted her out of a chair, so a dog could circle the chair and us and see if we had any marijuana with us, and we didn't. I'm a pothead. I'm not stupid. I know how that would go. But what worried me about our country's very security for the first time in my life was when a bunch of really smart potheads got together the night before this to decide what we were going to do and how. There was no plan yet. We made that plan from 8 till 11 the night before, and we're under arrest by 11 the next day. And the problem is when Mike Kirshner, in a bright plaid shirt that Chuck Thomas told him not to wear, he was waiting in the cafeteria for a call, and he had a piece of folded up paper like this. And through this, as we're on the 5th floor, and I'm pushing her chair, and a wall of media, 19 microphones you could count, so I assume 19 television cameras. We're backing up, and through them comes Mike Kirshner, plaid shirt on, goes, Jim, you forgot these. You need your talking points. You can't wing it. And I go, oh, thanks, man. And I took it and put it in this brown A&P shopping bag on Charles' lap because we didn't have luggage. We were kind of poor. So what bothered me is there was 16, 17 Capitol Police was the wall behind us. and not one said, "Let me see this." Not one. And they're in charge of keeping us from doing this. I tried not, it was hard not to laugh at that point. It was like, so for them, they were blocked out by the wall of media. They couldn't actually see when we backed into the doorway, but it looked like a magic trick. I just pulled the bud right out of that bag in her lap. And then the show was on. They had no choice but to arrest us, and they couldn't get rid of us quick enough. They didn't know how to handle Cheryl. It took 20 minutes just for her to get strapped in. And I couldn't help them. I never strapped her into her vehicle. I said, I'll put her on your front seat. You can seatbelt her in, knowing they couldn't do that. So I knew it was going to be a good day, though. You couldn't beat Cheryl if she showed up. And if she made it there's a new sheriff in town, and her name was Cheryl. And everybody abided by that every time we were there. Too many stories to tell.
But you've been an activist ever since, though, in the 20 years intervening. And I understand, Lefty, you're going to produce a Zoom call with each of the 24 states that are involved. And is that going to be visible out to the public?
Yes, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. So if you don't have the Zoom link and you're not on the Zoom call, you can watch the whole proceedings on YouTube, on Sativa Cross on YouTube, yes.
I see. And so Jim is going to be kind of the spokesperson for New Jersey. Do you have your list on the different states and what times they're going to be talking there?
We do.
I didn't mean
We're all ready.
Oh, it's great. We got we're starting off with Maryland, with Tommy Lyons, and he'll be in the studio at the State House with us. So Jim Miller will be with Tommy, comparing Maryland to New Jersey. Let's compare Maryland to New Jersey. Let's have some fun with that. And then we're going to Connecticut. My friend Brian in Connecticut. And then 11:45 we have Vermont with Amelia, and then Pennsylvania at noon, Illinois, New York, and then Oregon. You guys are coming on at 12:45, but you guys can come on earlier. You can come on earlier and stay later. Just that's your speaking time is 12:45. So if you guys have questions before that or have something to say, by all means raise your hand
And so now you're talking about East Coast time, Eastern Daylight Time, right? So when you say our time is 12:45, that's 9:45 our time, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. But keep going. What's the next one?
So then we got Rhode Island at 1 with Ann Armstrong, Alan Gordon. We got Colorado with Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson used to live in New Jersey with his daughter Vivian, and they had to move out of New Jersey because Vivian has epilepsy, and Brian couldn't get the medicine, the amount of medicine and the type of cannabis he needed from Vivian here in Jersey back at that time, because it's Chris Christie's program back then. And basically, Chris Christie was very, very tough on medical cannabis in New Jersey.
Well, I remember the law in New Jersey passed just before Chris Christie took office, right? It just got in under the wire because if he had been there, he wouldn't have signed it.
That's right. Yep, that's right.
And after that, what's are your next steps? I know recently you've added some more. I've been able to hook you up with a few different people.
Oh yeah, we got Idaho, Florida, with Garen Angel from Magical Butter. He donated machines to each state house that's participating. So each state house is going to have a Magical Butter machine.
Magic Butter. He donated these Magic Butter machines as a giveaway for each different state. How many of those did he send out?
Well, he sent us 2, so we're going to have to get 2 more. We have to purchase them ourselves or get back on the phone and get 2 more. We didn't know Nebraska was taking
I'll
part.
work that out with Garen.
Yo, Nebraska is taking part from their state house. That's amazing.
Yeah, Nebraska is one of the 3 states that doesn't have any medical marijuana, along with Idaho and Alabama.
They're going to wind up getting arrested up there smoking weed at the state house. That's what they're going to do.
In front of the Nebraska legislature back in 2017, but it didn't go anywhere for medical marijuana. But keep going.
Ridiculous. You get sick people. What, you got no cancer out there? No multiple sclerosis out there in Nebraska? Jeez.
Just overpowering Republican Party. And the Republicans think that marijuana makes people think, and they don't want that.
Well, here it says be helpful, not hurtful. My shirt. So be helpful, not hurtful. And what's funny about Republicans down in North Carolina, from what I understand, the Democrats are against cannabis, and the Republicans are for cannabis. In a couple of those states down there. It's kind of weird.
I used to live in North Carolina when I was in high school, way back in the 70s, and North Carolina decriminalized marijuana up to an ounce in 1977 or 78. They were going to decriminalize a quarter pound, but at the last minute they changed just an ounce. But now I think it's just a half ounce that's decriminalized. They've recrimmed over half an ounce.
They recrimmed a half ounce back. They took it back.
They tried to recriminalize marijuana here in Oregon back in 1997, and the governor signed it into law, and we got 90,000 signatures to stop it and made it a referendum. And when the state voted on it in 1998, we also put medical marijuana on the ballot. But in terms of recriminalization, it was defeated in every single county in the state, and we got 67% of the vote to stop the recriminalization in the vote in November of 1998. And that's the same time we passed medical marijuana. So have you hooked up with that veterans group in Olympia in Washington State, Lefty?
Yes, they're speaking at, what time are they speaking? They're on the list somewhere. Oh, 2:30 they're speaking. Yeah, Washington with Patrick.
Patrick with 22 too many about trying to stop veteran suicide. Another veterans group up in Alaska being represented by Pearson Crosby.
Yeah, he's 315 after Nebraska, after Kentucky. Then we got Delaware, Massachusetts, Texas, North Carolina, Virginia. So
right.
So wide range of diverse states there.
So what is the plan with the magic butter machines? How are those going to are they being raffled, or what's the deal with those?
Well, we don't have a license to raffle them in New Jersey. So if you can't raffle them, what do you do? Just give them away to somebody? I mean, how does that work?
Good auction, maybe, or put them on eBay, or I don't know. I mean, would they enforce that raffle law against little slips of paper in a hat or something, or I don't know.
Can we do a question and answer, like you win if you get this question correct? Is that legal, lawful? It's ridiculous. Because we're a 501c3.
What about
Jim knows there's laws of 501c3s, and to do a raffle as a 501c3, you have to have a special license, which we're trying to get. We're trying to get a raffle license to do reefers and raffles, pot and poker, bongs and baccarat, or bongs and blackjack. We're trying to do something like that. So yeah, we want that license to raffle. Right, Jim? As a 501c3, we have to get a license for that, you know?
Yeah, I believe you do. I'm not real sure about that, though. But you being the I'd rather beg for forgiveness than ask for permission guy, have you looked up what the penalty is?
Well, you could lose your 501c3 status, so yeah.
Good enough. What if somebody else did the raffle?
Right. So here, you do the raffle.
Exactly not me. Somebody else.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Here, do the raffle. Raffle this. Yeah. Okay. Right. Problem solved.
Put people's
Magical
names.
Butter is doing the raffle.
There you go. Thank you. Magical Butter raffle.
Now, would it really be a raffle if you put names in a hat and pick one? It's not a raffle. I mean, what the fuck? Look up the definition of raffle, do something else, and then be lefty.
And then go left. See.
Beg for forgiveness when you're done.
I think we
You'll,
figured
we'll,
out.
we'll find a way around, you know. In the end, I think that we were able to give away a magic butter machine 8 years ago or so for every just about every show we did. How many was that one year?
Like
it was like 20.
18.
Yeah, right. It was close to 20.
18.
And it seems no matter how you do it, if you just had a secret panel and saying we've everybody we know that could need one that we know, because if you don't know them, it doesn't mean they're not deserving. It just means that they're not in that circle of people doing things and not able to even make their own magical butter. And just pick one. You can a giveaway. It's not a raffle. Just somebody deserving gets it. And I got to say, there is nothing better than the feeling of, especially if you could see somebody find out they're going to get a magic butter machine. It's a life changer.
Well, here, Jim, here's a raffle. It's reefer and food, fun, love, entertainment. Raffle.
All right.
There
So, what was the reception last year with the event? This is, did you say this is the second year, or is it more than that?
Yeah, this is the second year. Last year was pretty fun. We had a lot of people there. We had a lot of speakers, a lot of really good speakers. A lot of media was out there. Were they giving away? They gave away a bunch of weed too, I believe. Urban Hippie gave away like a pound or two of weed, right? Was that the thing? Was it that thing? He's always giving away weed. I love it.
Urban what?
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but one thing about New Jersey's law that is good about the legalization laws, it's written right in there in big bold letters that adults are able to exchange cannabis up to 1 ounce as long as there's no money involved. So when they did that, that gave us the right to say stuff like, listen, if you show up, you're going to have some free cannabis. And if you really wanted to get 5 people somewhere, it could be a specific amount of cannabis. And if you know somewhere to get it at a good price, it's an inducement. Sometimes it gets up to $3 cash for collecting signatures for a petition in some states where they have serious drives, and they bring out the cash incentive. We're thinking of doing that for somewhere where I'm going to be gathering with an MS patient about a disability issue, and we were considering, we could get more people to be there later on by simply saying, come on, pick up an eighth, and have a cup of coffee with us. That's all. Just show up. So, yeah, we do good in New Jersey now getting people to the State House. And I hope it's the same on Monday.
I'm able to grow my own cannabis. And I'm able to grow a lot more than I can, or my wife and I.
I'll brag about it.
And so I just give it away. I've been giving away free cannabis since the medical marijuana law went into effect back in 1999. I used to have a bigger garden. I have actually given away over 7,000 pounds of medical marijuana to thousands of sick and dying patients, and some that weren't so sick, including Willie Nelson's gone away with a few pounds of our cannabis here. And he talked about it being among his favorite when he was interviewed by Rolling Stone back about 5 or 6 years ago. But I don't know if we have enough right now to be giving it away at the state capitol, though. Tell me more about the magic butter machine. What does a magic butter machine do?
The magical butter machine.
Oh my gosh.
It helps patients to make butter and oil very easily. They just have to put their cannabis into the machine. It's got a grinder that grinds up the organics, the botanicals, and it infuses it with oil or butter, and then you can make your edibles with it. They come with, Honeybee, what does it come with? Gummy trays, gummy molds, and some other stuff, right?
A decarb box. So you can have it all contained so your house doesn't smell like weed, which is really nice. And a tray of gummies, a gummy mix we got, and a magical butter machine. They're brand new magical butter machine.
All right. Well, the maker of the magical butter machine, where are they located at?
They're in
Florida.
Florida.
I
And
see.
that's Garen Angel. So he's calling in to talk about Florida. But don't they
Okay.
also have an office in Seattle, Honeybee, I believe?
They do.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
How did you come up with the idea of the National Cannabis Day on 7/10? I was kind of surprised when 7/10 was added on to 4/20. Now, 4/20, that one was it's come on nationally for 25 years or so now. But then more recently, the 7/10 thing, it started with the word oil from extracts, turning that upside down looks like the number 7/10. And so that's become more of a dabber event. People who take extracts in an inhalation device. There's something I don't like the fact that they call it a rig, because a rig sounds to me like something that a junkie uses, or something
Yeah.
I guess with oil, it's you've got oil rigs out in the ocean drilling for oil, but what was the idea behind appropriating this nascent new cannabis holiday?
Well, we seem to be celebrating 7/10 all over now. And it's becoming a stoner holiday, a corporate holiday. The MSOs are getting involved. And in New Jersey, we have been forgotten about as patients. They used us to get their legalization here in New Jersey. They stepped on our backs, they got a foot up, and then they left us in the dirt. That's how I feel. And I feel that we have been forgotten about. And we want to recognize the sick and dying people that have fought for this. People like Jeff Oakes, who died waiting for home grow, waiting for home grow, that he fought for Jeff's Law. And all the patients that have passed on and that are suffering right now, this day is for them. We want to make it a day for patients and reflection. And we can have fun, sure, let's have fun. But we also want to recognize what the struggle is and what people are going through. People are suffering right now. People have lost loved ones that are still hurting from losing their loved ones.
Yeah.
The other day, you never know who you're fighting for in life. And the other day, I'm doing crosswalk activism. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a crosswalk here in front. This is Avenue C and 49th. So we got a light here on Avenue C and 49th doing activism. So now we're moving it down to Broadway. So I'm doing activism on Broadway, stopping cars with my stop for pedestrian sign and slowing cars down. And a guy comes up to me. He's out there with a table selling stuff. He's like, my daughter couldn't get into Mrs. Fields. And I said, oh man, we've been trying to get, a ramp for Mrs. Fields. And we finally got a ramp. We got a ramp for Mrs. Fields last year. And it took us, a year. They fought us on it. He's like, yeah, my daughter had brain cancer and she was in a wheelchair and she couldn't get into Mrs. Fields. And I said, oh man. And he said, yeah, he says, the guy came up to me the other day or the other month or whatever. He says, yeah, I got the ramp for your daughter. I finally got the ramp for your daughter. He's like, oh, my daughter passed on. And man, that just really, it just broke me right there. So, you never know who you're fighting for. I would never have known that story had I been out there doing activism and talking to this gentleman. But I'm sure there's other stories out there that we'll never know about. There's people, children in wheelchairs that can't get into businesses or that need medical cannabis or that need that pound a month of home grow that they're not getting for their daughter or their son. And so those are the people we're fighting for. The people we don't know, people we don't even hear about, but they're out there and we're fighting for them. So we're making this day about the sick and dying people of our community.
That's great. That's great. So how did you first come to start Sativa Cross?
Tell him this is good.
How did it start?
Yeah.
It started as a heavy metal band.
Really?
Yeah, I just got the name. I like the name because it's the coolest name ever. And but I like about the name Sativa Cross.
Sativa Cross.
There was an old heavy metal band, yeah. And I kept the name, I kept it going. What I like about Sativa Cross, it's got a double meaning. It's got the meaning of cannabis, Sativa Cross, cannabis, and also there's a little bit of a context of spirituality with Sativa Cross, like a Calvary kind of cross, So a little bit of spirituality in there mixed in. I like that. And we've been doing this since 2012, 13 at the State House. I saw Jim doing this for years. He was at the State House, and I saw Jenny Storms out there, and I just jumped in, and I found my little niche where I can help out by doing a podcast at the State House. And we just kept making videos. We started going to police stations when they legalized it, and going to police stations and asking them, where do we smoke cannabis? And because what happened is, we went up to police and they were like, well, we're going to arrest you. If you smoke cannabis, we're going to arrest you. I was like, wait a minute. I just went through hell to get this stupid card, this medical cannabis card that you made me jump through hoops to get. And now you're going to tell me you're going to arrest me on top of all this? Oh, no. When I got my card, I had to wait a year. I had to start my doctor, wait a year, go to see her 4 times. Each time cost $400. So I had to spend $1,600 to get my medical cannabis card in New Jersey. Wait a year. Finally got my card. Then I went to talk to cops about it, and the cops were like, no, we're going to arrest you. We don't know about this. I'm like, wait a minute. No. So we started filming and going to police stations. And the problem was the Attorney General didn't disseminate the guidelines. Governor Christie had no intention on helping this program out. So we were stuck. Patients were kind of screwed. And patients were getting arrested all over New Jersey. All over New Jersey, patients smoking weed were getting arrested, have to go to court and get the charges dropped. These are sick people. People have to lose their time at work to go to court for something they spent money jumping through hoops to get these cards, and yet they're still getting arrested. You still getting charged and going through the system. So that was what we started doing. We went to a bunch of police stations, educated hundreds of police, hundreds of chiefs. Then we started going to council meetings because they started banning medical cannabis in New Jersey, banning the sale of it. So we would go to those towns and talk to them about, why are you making life for cancer patients harder? I would tell these council people, spend a day in a wheelchair. And not one council person would take me up on spending a day in a wheelchair. But I still offer that up there. Spend a day in a wheelchair, and you'll be surprised what you see, especially in Hudson County, where all this is happening. There's steps everywhere. A lot of suffering. A lot of people suffering in Hudson County because you can't get into these businesses with wheelchairs. So we just kept going with Sativa Cross, and we're growing. We're doing a lot of disability activism, but we're still doing cannabis activism. I think Jim feels the same way. I think once we get home grow, we're kind of like, okay, now what? We don't really, what, if a patient needs help, sure, we'll help them. But the patients I want to help are our friend like Brian, who we're going to help now. Patients that have issues with disability access. That's all over New Jersey. We'll see that, and I think we could do a lot in that venue to help patients. But yeah, the cannabis is always going to be a part of us, but I think the wheelchair stuff is going to be in the future. The accessibility, the crosswalk accessibility, helping the homeless. We do a lot of stuff like that, and we keep it moving. And we're kind of radical. So we're nonviolent. Anything below nonviolent. So we're pretty radical up to the point of being violent. But we'll do anything short of that. And you can believe that, anything. We have a guy, Bongolio, who literally gets in an 8-foot bong, plays guitar for these councils. He gets in a bong and plays music for these councils, these ignorant councils. And he's our nuclear bomb because
Bongolio. It looks
Bongolio, he's the best.
Right there on your desk.
Yeah, this is Bongolio here.
Here's one.
Oh, all right. He looks kind of like Gumpy.
Oh yeah, Honeybee has one too. So Bongolio made a difference, and it's been a heck of a journey. And seeing the headway we've made, it's good. It's good. We've been fighting for this for so many years at the State House since 2000. I've been there since 2013, And we used to podcast almost every week, literally almost every week. And then we did it monthly. And but like Jim says, we're not tireless. We're tireless activists. We're tired activists. We're not tireless. So something has to give at some point. It's a very expensive. Activism doesn't pay. It's very expensive.
Nope.
No, it doesn't pay at all. And it actually it can be hurtful. It's actually very hurtful you can get attacked. I've seen great, wonderful activists in New Jersey get attacked by other activists who are, oh, you don't do it the right way. You're doing it wrong. Or they would yell at me. They're like, oh, you got long hair. You look like a bum. Blah, blah. They would always,
I got to just say that, while being an activist doesn't pay, I never made money. It costs money. I borrowed money and had to pay it back to do things. You cannot buy the feeling you get when you help a patient when no doctor can, and you're their last resort. Mm-hmm. And when you're there to see that change, to see that light go on, even if you never see them again, their life has changed and they're going to change other people's lives. So there's no feeling like it. It's lefty's right. Patients are being left out in New Jersey, especially, and I get some crap from activists, advocates. Hey, no, everybody deserves it at the same time. Shouldn't be patients and then people. It shouldn't be everybody at the same time. And then I have to explain real quickly that, well, we have a law where it does include everybody, 10 plants for patients, 6 for adults. Now, we also have a lifeboat bill that's for patients only. And they would only get to grow 4 plants and 4 immature. But here's the deal. We have 15 Republican senators in New Jersey. They are the party of no when it comes to all things medical cannabis. They were the only person to vote against veterans with post-traumatic stress being allowed in the program because they weren't in the beginning. So what's going on now is that there's 5 Republican co-sponsors out of 15 for patients only. Only one of them is also a co-sponsor of the other bill that includes everybody. That means that Republican senators outnumber Democrat for co-sponsorship because it is in fact Democratic leadership holding up the bill for 2 years from even getting a hearing, not a voting session, a hearing. So we have this incredible opportunity in New Jersey to turn over stewardship for getting S342 to a hearing to the Republican minority party. That is huge in media circles. They know, and I am really having trouble convincing people who aren't patients that it's, first of all, women and children first in the lifeboats. That's a metaphor, but there's a lot more that adults, especially in the corporate world, could realize that it's going to happen first for patients. And if they simply help this bill get heard, all the information they hear in an informational hearing, 90% is going to apply to their bill too. It's just not about their bill, but it's the same, what if this happens? What if that happens? It's going to be just a familiar argument. So the advocacy best bet would be, okay, let's help patients. Let's jam that. And then we'll just like we did with legalization. So patients were paying $560 an ounce for medical cannabis when it became legal. And then, yeah, it was still 400 and some when it became legal for adults. But that's a lot less than 560. And patients really open the doors for them. If they're the only place you can buy adult use cannabis now is at a patient's dispensary. So yeah, for me,
So
it's
price there. I know here in Oregon, we are blessed with the lowest cost cannabis in the country. I guess the growers aren't too happy about it, but the commercial growers want it to be more. But there were actually signs out that say as low as $19 an ounce. Right now, there's a sign just down the street from me here that says $50 an ounce. And that's not medical. That's adult use. So when you take the taxes off, it's even a little bit less. So what is the price there in New Jersey?
Well, I would say it really depends in how you're asking that. The same dispensary that I'm quoting $400 price for, that is their upper tier pricing. They have lesser priced things, sales, small buds. If you have a compassionate discount or you're on Medicaid, you get an additional discount. Veterans get discounts. So I was able, as a patient, to go to dispensaries, and I would end up spending no more than about $260 at a rate of $260 per ounce. I don't know, have to take a few more puffs to get the same medical effect. I really don't know, but even that now is there's a very robust gray market going on, and it is really not hard to find good quality for. It's still going to cost you $200 to $250 an ounce, though. I mean, for something pretty good, and that's just it's a lot. It shouldn't even cost that much. And home grow for patients, most aren't going to be able to grow quality. And I'm trying to let people know that means there's going to be ancillary and additional business opportunities for people who would be in the business of helping patients grow, or provide registered caregivers can grow, would be able to grow at their house for them. So there's things going on, but I couldn't agree with Lefty more. It should be all about patience. And for me, co-opting a day, grabbing a day, if the American flag can be co-opted, and when it flies, you're thinking something than you used to think about a person waving a flag. I'm just saying that adults can largely fend for themselves where patients maybe can't, and yet patients have the biggest wedge to break open the door. And it's just, it should be advocacy 101, but everybody thinks it's just, hey man, don't tell me what to do, and that's advocacy, and it doesn't work that way. So oil day, patient awareness day. If there's any adults that have a problem with that, tell them to get in touch with me.
So we are talking about Cannabis Patient Awareness Day, which is this coming Monday, July 10th. And that is a new stoner holiday, so to speak, kind of like 420, but more for the extract dabbing set. And so Lefty and others there decided to appropriate this new corporate holiday into an activist holiday, and I want to salute you for that.
Taking it back.
Yeah.
That's right. We're taking it back for the patients.
So, do you have? So this is going to stream on YouTube at the Sativa Cross website. It's going to start
also on Facebook. There'll be links on
It's
Facebook.
the first event there in New Jersey, Lefty?
No, this will be the second one.
No, I mean, what time do you start on Monday?
We're starting at 11.
11. So 11
Eastern.
Your time is
11:11.
Our time. And when do you end?
We're going to go till 5.
5 o'clock your time makes it about 2 p.m. here in the West Coast. But I guess you do have the guy, Pearson Crosby, out in Alaska. He's even earlier, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
They got about 24 hours of sunshine up there right now.
He's an ex-military guy who wrestles bulls. So he's up. No sleep.
Yeah, I first met him through the Veterans Action Council, a national group of veterans, and I figured, well, he sounded like he was interested in it, so I hooked him up with this system.
Nice.
What
He's
are your
great.
plans, Honeybee? We're having problems with your video and audio, but I think, can you hear me, Honeybee?
I can hear you. Our plans, we're going to show up.
but there's nothing you can do about it now. How did you come to get involved with Sativa Cross?
2015, I was searching for cannabis, and he passed away in 2015. Lefty was with for epilepsy, and he had a podcast, and then we just started talking about my son, and one thing led to another. I really enjoyed being on the podcast, and here I am today advocating for Oregon. It's been great to me.
Your audio, Honeybee, is just completely breaking up. I can't really hear what you're saying, unfortunately. I'm getting a little bit of sound every few seconds here. But
It was her son, Paul. Her son, Michael Dillon, was a cannabis patient out in Oregon, and he had epilepsy, and he would have drop seizures.
Thank you.
And he would use cannabis for his drop seizures. But Honeybee started watching our program because we had epileptic talks about epilepsy, and talks about how cannabis would help epilepsy. So that's what brought us all together. I think the cannabis and the epilepsy, cannabis and multiple sclerosis, cannabis and cancer. I meet a lot of people through a lot of pain.
yeah, cannabis is a blessing, and a lot of people don't understand how this is an ancient medicine that works for so many different conditions that has been prohibited. Basically, the pharmaceutical companies don't want it because they want what a doctor used to call the late great Todd McArea, one of the first modern time cannabis physicians. He called it monomolecular mercantile madness. And they want to get that one molecule that they can patent so they can make a fortune. But cannabis has a number of molecules. When I first started studying cannabis in the 70s, they only knew about 3 cannabinoids: THC, CBN, and CBD. But now there's about 150 different cannabinoids that they've discovered that have a wide variety of effects. And lately, I've heard a lot of good things about CBG, or cannabidiol, and how it doesn't have high, but offers a lot of relief. And that's the mother cannabinoid. In other words, that's the one that cannabis plants first produce, and then the plant changes it as it becomes more mature into all the other ones. So,
I used a high CBG on my cat Lulu.
Oh, really?
For his cancer, and it really helped him at the end, extend his life and give him a better quality of life at the end. Yeah.
How much was that?
How much was what?
How much was the product that you got for Lulu?
It was actually given to me by Smoke and Monkey in Newark. He gave me like 10 bottles, and they were like 50, 70, I don't know, $70 each.
Mm-hmm.
Those suckers were expensive, but it was high. It was all high CBG, and it really was helpful. If I had known, I would have had him on CBG a long time before that. I mean, once in a while, I'm going to give my cat some CBG, like every once a month. Just give a little CBG, drop of it. Can't hurt him.
Yeah. So we are going to have this event here in Oregon. We're going to be at the state capitol, and
Yes.
we'll be in 23 other state capitals around the country and areas. So we're about out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to say in closing? First of all, you, Jim.
Yeah, tune in on 710. Hear the full story from everywhere. I'd like to say that this should be a good day for patients, and I hope that a lot become aware of it because the difference between this year and last year can be the difference between this year and next year going forward. So, I will be there for this effort whenever I'm asked until death do we part.
Well, I really appreciate your lifetime of activism, Jim. Thank you for helping this. What about you, Honeybee? It looks like your video is better now.
Okay, I moved, so let's see. Thank you so much for having us on the show. This really means a lot to us, and we've been really working hard at getting people to help us and support us. And, we are a nonprofit, so if anyone, has it in their heart to give to sativacross.org, we have a website, sativacross.org. We also have cannabispatientawarenessday.com. I'm going to be in Salem, Oregon with a bunch of other people, but most importantly, we're going to be the voice for the people that can't be there. So we're going to go talk about a bunch of stuff. Come and hang out with us. We're just getting more and more people each year. We're going to be giving away free stuff and networking on how we can make this better each year. So thank you for your support and your love, and to be continued.
Thank you, Honeybee. Thanks for asking me to get involved as well. I'm looking forward to it. I will be at the state capitol with you. I think we'll be setting up about 9 a.m. our time. And if anyone needs a ride, just call our office. We have various rides available. Our office number is usually there on the screen, but it's 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. Lefty, do you want to say anything else in closing?
Yes, just go to sativacross.org for more information, and you can also donate on there for us. And we're ready to go. We're psyched, and I don't know what else to say. We're ready to go.
Well, we can end it with the ode.
You want to end it with the oath? Sure.
Say my part, you do your part.
Okay. There's two parts to this ode. The ode is something that was written 100 years ago during World War I, and it really carries through to activism. And it starts like this. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. I'll see you at the state capitol here in Oregon on Monday, July 10th. There will be 3 other state capitals for Cannabis Patient Awareness Day, spearheaded by Sativa Cross and our guests here today. So thank you, and work to restore hemp. Good night.